Hey there tech fans, Rick here from the OREI team with an overview of the UHD-EX165H-K HDMI extender kit. This product allows you to transmit a high-definition HDMI signal from a device like a DVD player or game console up to 165 feet away to a remote location over nothing more than a simple Cat6 cable. The product also uses that cable to transmit power from the primary location to that secondary location, eliminating the need for a second power supply. In addition, the product provides for a local loopback at the primary location, which means you can actually watch the video stream that you're transmitting to your remote location. And finally, using the included IR blasters, you can transmit infrared remote control signals from your remote location all the way back to the primary location, which allows you to control the media product you're watching. Now, as part of this overview, I'd like to start with a basic unboxing of the product just to show you all the components that are included with the kit. Then I'll take a closer look at each of those components and explain what the buttons, connectors, and indicators mean so you understand how to connect the unit up once you get it home. I'll give you some idea of the products that are typically used with the kit, as well as the video standards it supports. And then finally, I'll come back and actually install the product here to show you just how simple it is to get this product working with your own gear at home. So let's get started with the unboxing. When you first pop open the box, you'll find a transmitter module and a receiver module and a single power supply, because as I'd mentioned, you can plug that in at the transmitter end or receiver end, and the Cat6 cable between them will transfer that power to the other unit. So you only need a single power supply. We include two IR blasters, one for the transmitter, one for the receiver, and they have sticky tape on the back where you can actually adhere them to your monitor at the remote location and whatever media device you're controlling at the primary location. And we also include a full instruction manual, which has extensive diagrams inside showing you connections. It discusses the type of audio standards and video standards the product can support. There's contact information in there in case you have questions about the product, as well as warranty information. So if you stay tuned, next I'll take a closer look at all the components, so again, you understand exactly how to install this once you get it home. There are 5 main components included in the UHD-EX165H-K kit, and they include a receiver module, a transmitter module, 2 IR blaster modules, and a power supply. The power supply simply plugs into the wall on this end. The other end has a barrel connection that can be used with either the transmitter or receiver, and whichever you connect it to, the power will be sent over that same Cat6 connection where the audio and video is going to be transmitted. The 2 IR blaster modules are used with the transmitter and receiver. You've got one that's labeled IR out, that's used with the receiver. The other one's used with the transmitter, and I'll show you what those connections are in a minute. The 2 modules are very similar in design. They're both enclosed in a totally metal case, and that helps to knock down outside interference from getting into the video and audio signals you're transmitting upstream. Now on the unit itself, on the one end you've got 2 HDMI connections. This one is an HDMI input connection. That will come from your HDMI source, whether that's a DVD player or game console. You'll run an HDMI cable from that to this port over here. The secondary port provides loopback function at the primary location. So if you run a short HDMI cable from here to the monitor, you can actually view the media content that you're transmitting to the remote location. This is a power supply connection. Again, that power supply I showed you a minute ago plugs in here. On the other end, I have a couple more connections. This is your Cat6 connection that you'll run between the transmitter and receiver modules. This is the IR in connection I mentioned a minute ago. Simply plug in that IR blaster module here and you'll be ready to go. We also include an EDID switch, which will follow either the transmitter or receive modules. On a lot of the newer equipment, you have to adjust that EDID, and we give you the switch here to make that adjustment. Then finally, there's a service port, which is a micro USB connection in case firmware updates are needed for the transmitter later on. For the receiver, similar connections. On the one end, you have an HDMI output port here. This will run a short cable from this to the monitor at the remote location, so you can actually view the content. On the other end, you've got the Cat6 in connection, which is the other end of the cable that you've plugged into your transmitter. This is the IR in connection for the IR blaster. You just simply plug it in there and you're good to go. And then finally, there's another service port right here that's a micro USB connection in case you have to push firmware updates to the product later on. The cabinet itself has venting on both sides to keep the electronics inside at a comfortable temperature, and there are holes in the bottom on both the transmitter and receiver modules in case you decide you want to mount this to a wall. The OREI EX165H-K provides support for a wide range of video products, including game consoles, DVD players, home surveillance systems, streaming devices like Roku, and cable boxes, and can support video resolutions up to 4K at 60 Hz and provide compliance for HDMI 2.0, HDCP 2.2, and HDCP 2.4, as well as DVI 1.0 compliance. And finally, it provides a local loopback for the video to be able to view the content on the local monitor as well as the remote monitor. Now I'll show you the connections you'll need to make to get this product working with your own equipment at home. For this demonstration, on my left I'm simulating the primary location in your home. It's where you're watching your media content today. I have a monitor that represents your widescreen TV or projector system, and I'm using a small media player as my HDMI input source, and that would typically be a DVD player or home game console, really any product that can output an HDMI signal. I've currently got that connected up to the monitor, and I'm looping a video on there. To my right, I've got a second monitor that represents your secondary location in the house. That could be an upstairs bedroom, downstairs in a den. It's anywhere you want to watch the content from that primary location in your home. In front of me, I have both the transmitter module and receiver module and the IR blasters that allow you to extend the remote control signals from that secondary location back to the primary media. So we'll get started with the connections, and the first thing you want to do is connect up the transmitter, and the first connection you'll make to that is the HDMI input, which is your source. Right now it's connected to the monitor, so I'll disconnect it, and that gets plugged into the HDMI input port on the transmitter, and I'll set that down. On the secondary location, I have a single connection from that monitor, and that gets connected to the HDMI output on the receiver. Now the next connection I want to make is the LAN connection between them. Again, a Cat6 cable between these two is the only connection you'll need to broadcast that signal to the secondary location. And I'm using a short cable here, but you can use a much longer cable. Simply plug that in the front on both the transmitter and receiver. And once you've made that connection, you can apply power to the transmitter. So I've already got the power supply plugged in, and I'll just plug this into the transmitter. On the back, there's a barrel connection, and I'll just tighten that collar, and we'll be good to go. Now in a second, it's going to power up, it's going to check the resolution of my media source, it's going to check the resolution of the monitor, and it's going to come on. Same thing on the secondary side. It's now broadcasting that signal, and that one will pop on. Now what's interesting here is there's no power connection needed to that secondary location. That one single cable is going to handle transmitting video, transmitting power, and actually transmitting the infrared signals back from that secondary location to control your media source at the primary location. One of the really nice features that's built into this is the ability to loop back that video to the primary location. And to do that, you just need a second HDMI cable. You'll connect that up to the monitor and connect it to the HDMI output on the back of the transmitter module. Now it's going to take a second because the minute I connect up another monitor, this has to go back into assessment mode and check to make sure the resolution is right in that monitor, how it compares to the secondary location. So it's doing a bit of a reset, and both of those will pop on in a second. There you go. So what I'm looking at is the same media here as on that secondary location, and it's really nice to be able to see that at the primary location while I'm viewing it at the secondary location. Now these IR blasters allow you to plug in to the infrared ports on both of the transmitter and receiver. And what that'll do is at that secondary location, you can use a remote control pointed at that. It'll transmit that infrared signal back through that same Cat cable all the way to the primary location, and it'll broadcast it back out of this infrared emitter right in the front of whatever media device you're using to control fast forward, play, pause, things like that. So we built a lot of technology into this to make it really simple to use. And that's all you need to know to get it connected in your own home. I hope you found this overview of the UHD-EX165H-K HDMI extender kit helpful. It really is a simple way of transmitting any high-definition HDMI signal to a remote location up to 165 feet away with nothing more than a Cat6 cable. If you have any questions about the product, please check the FAQ on our website or use the Contact Us link to send us a note and we'll get back to you as quickly as we can. We really appreciate your support of the entire OREI product line, and until next time, thanks for watching.